Welcome to our series, Moving America Forward. Each week we'll be focusing on America's entrepreneurs as they take us to new roads, new opportunities, new ways to fill the gaps left by today's failing companies. Our series will be looking at that and a lot more. So come with me and watch as the entrepreneurs of our nation move into the future.
And I'm Doug Llewellyn. Welcome to our studio here in Los Angeles, and pleased to have as our guest today guests who represent an organization called Cancer Research Awareness, which is headquartered here in Southern California. I'd like you to meet them now. First, on my left, Peggy Sue Roberts, who I think you'd be interested to know is a 9-year stage 4 cancer survivor. And thank God she's still with us. On her left, her husband, Jim Roberts, and on his left is their younger son, Rusty Roberts. Folks, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a fascinating story that you folks have to tell, and we're really pleased that you're here to talk about it. Peggy, obviously, I want to begin with you. Tell me a little bit about your story. You are a stage 4 cancer survivor. You have survived. How did it all begin with you?
I started out, the cancer was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I was at there's 4 stages to cancer, and I was at stage 4 at the time they were able to determine what I had.
This was in 2007?
7, that's correct.
Okay. And obviously, treatment was very bleak for you. You said, in effect, they sent you home to die. Is that right?
That's correct. I was allergic to chemo.
Yeah.
And the main ingredient that was in my chemo was Rituxan. And I had 7 hours of treatment of an IV drip, which was too much for me. And I coded in the chair. And somehow they pumped me out and got me back on my feet. But that's the time they sent me home to die.
Jim, that's when you went to work. You weren't about to let that happen. What did you do? What happened at that point?
Well, it took me a couple of days for me to actually collect myself, as you could probably imagine. Sure. And then my secretary and I spent the better part of the next 2 weeks to search the country. United States and Canada both. We couldn't find anywhere in either country to take her, so we had to look outside the country. And about 2 weeks into looking, then I found a good cluster of clinics in Tijuana, Mexico. And just as I was starting to look at those, there's over 20 of them, I found a recommendation to one of those 22 clinics that I asked his American investigative reporter, and he said there was only one. I said, one? You know, not like 1, 2, or 3. He said, one. And so that's whenever I took her to the clinic in Mexico.
And what were you looking for in Mexico?
Well, Doug, I was looking for a good bundle of treatments all in one place. I found out in my research on those couple of weeks that I was looking for about 16 different treatments all in one place. And I was looking for natural treatments instead of chemo, radiation, surgery, because we already knew that that didn't work. So the bundle of treatments, about half of them come through IV drip, the other half comes through the different equipment. But I was also looking for a clinic that worked, that their treatments worked. That's what I was looking for.
And the logical question is, why Mexico?
Well, because here in the United States, it has become illegal to treat cancer with natural alternative treatments. That's the answer.
It's against the law, so they have to use chemotherapy, you said. At most
Chemo,
of these
radiation,
places.
and surgery, or some combination of that.
Rusty, why is it you can't get holistic treatment in the U.S.? Do you know?
Well, it pretty much bases on the laws. The laws in Mexico allow a doctor to actually treat more naturally,
right.
Which would be better for the patient. Versus up here, our laws are written to protect the income streams from the big pharma.
Let me ask you, when we talk about holistic treatment, what did that involve, Peggy? Do you remember?
It was 16 treatments, and half of it was on equipment and the other half intravenously. Things like oxygen, different vitamins. Vitamin B12 is a good healer for the body. So it was quite a list. Not everyone has the same treatment, and the length of the treatment varies by each person.
Heat was involved.
Heat.
And that's on the tumors itself, right? The heat's on the tumor. And your body was covered with tumors, correct?
Yes, I had 22 tumors.
22 tumors. So you go to the Mexican clinic that Jim found and located. You were convinced this was a right treatment to try. Tell me what happened.
Well, when I first went in, I went in a wheelchair. I was unable to eat or drink. and could talk very little. I was almost dead. And they started the IV drips and building up my immune system before I started any equipment. The doctors started giving me vitamins to build me up. And after he got my system built up, then I was able to take in water and food. And the next day, I started feeling better. By the second and third day, I was talking and I could walk.
I mean, that's stunning, to say the least. How do you credit this, Jim?
Well, I credit the Lord, first of all, but also I credit the doctors and the treatments in Mexico.
So, that's been like 8 years ago that this happened. How do you feel today?
I feel real good. Lots of energy, good appetite, able to control my weight where I could not control it before. I lost 30 pounds in 30 days, and I'm doing great.
And I'm prompted to ask you, what do the doctors that you saw here have to say about your condition now? Have you talked to them?
Oh yes, and when I went back to get a PET scan, they couldn't believe what they were seeing, and they made me take another one. They thought they had mixed up the files, and they said, the doctor said, I don't know how you did this, but it's a miracle.
I was just going to, you're a miracle child. Jim, I understand you talk to a lot of patients, people who are suffering from cancer these days on the phone, and that's really what you're doing now. That's what your service is all about. It's called Cancer Research Awareness. You are trying to get the word out about the kind of treatments that go on in Mexico to other patients.
And those are the folks that are calling us on the phone, Doug. Those are the folks that fill out the form. Many of them are exactly where Peggy Sue was 9 years ago. They're in stage 4. Many of them have been sent home to die. And they're looking for that hope too, Doug. And they're looking for answers. And because we have the experience that we have had, then we're a trusted resource for them.
Do you find other people who are suffering from cancer the way you were, or the way Peggy was, skeptical of going to a place like Mexico for treatment and concerned about it?
Of course. And a lot of our videos that we have on our website, when we go down and visit, I just take my camera, and if someone is willing to do a video, then I ask them. What their #1 drawback was, or their obstacle was for coming, and I ask them about their safety. We ask them a lot of questions, and of course they will just answer. A lot of them are concerned about their safety, Doug, but we tell them we've never had a problem in the last 9 years.
The #1 drawback, which was interesting, the hardest thing that people had to overcome going to Mexico was their own family. They had more trouble with family than any other thing.
Convincing them that it was safe?
Correct.
And that the treatment was safe, not
Correct.
just going to Mexico being safe. Rusty, what's the website again for more information?
MexicanCancerClinics.info. So that's an S on the end of it, MexicanCancerClinics.info.
Well, folks, thank you so much for being here. Peggy, I'm so glad you could be with us. You know,
Me
it's
too.
such a treat to see you and have you here. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Rusty.
Thank
Thanks for having
We
us.
enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Nice. Now it's my honor to present this prestigious award to Peggy Sue Roberts, Jim Roberts, and Rusty Roberts for their outstanding work that their organization, Cancer Research Awareness, is doing to help keep moving America forward. Peggy, let me hand this to you and say congratulations.
Thank you so much. In behalf of my family, the doctors, and the clinic that's helping heal so many people, I thank you for this, because this is a sign of hope.
You're absolutely right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.